Strange things happen every single day, some that we can explain and others that leave us scratching our heads. And there are some cases of the unexplained that have baffled experts and left people wondering if they were losing their minds. Welcome back, I'm here. And today I'll be taking you through the terrifying ordeal of a man who woke up in the middle of the night speaking a language he never knew. So sit back, relax and enjoy the show. And make sure to stick around until the very end to hear what actually happened. You won't want to miss this. Before we start, remember to hit that subscribe button for more videos like this one. Also, please give this video a like. It really helps us out. And with that done, let's begin. Picture this. You've just tucked yourself into bed after a long day. You're tired and ready to rest your head on the pillow and drift off to sleep. As you close your eyes, though, you can't help but think about all of the strange things you've experienced throughout the day. Maybe you saw someone you didn't recognize walking down the street, or perhaps you had an unusual conversation with a friend. You try not to dwell on these thoughts too much as you settle down for bed, but they still linger at the edges of your mind. Suddenly, you feel yourself drifting off to sleep. But then it happens. A loud noise jolts you awake and makes you sit up in bed. Disoriented, you look around the room trying to figure out where the noise came from, but everything seems to be in order. Heart pounding, you lie back down and attempt to go back to sleep, but the more you try to relax, the more your mind races with thoughts about the mysterious noise and other strange happenings of the day. Sleep seems impossible now. As the minutes tick by, you find yourself fixated on the idea that something strange is going on. You might even begin to wonder if you're losing your mind. Eventually, exhausted and defeated, you give up on sleeping and get out of bed to try and distract yourself. That's when you notice something strange. Looking at your own reflection in the mirror, you see that your face has changed. Your eyes seem different, your features altered. In horror, you realize that you no longer look like yourself. What could be happening? Is this a sign that you're losing your sanity? Believe it or not, this scenario is strikingly similar to the bizarre case of a man who woke up one morning only to discover that he couldn't speak or understand his native language. His name was John Merrick, and he was an ordinary guy living a normal life in Providence, Rhode Island. One evening in 1965, he went to bed feeling completely fine, but he would wake up the following morning with no recollection of the previous few hours. He also couldn't speak or understand English. All he could say were a few random words and phrases that sounded like they could have been Spanish. At first, John thought he might have suffered from a mild concussion or a momentary lapse in memory. However, as the day wore on, he grew increasingly concerned as his symptoms persisted and his confusion only grew. He couldn't even remember his wife's name and found himself unable to communicate with her. Feeling scared and helpless, John was taken to Rhode Island Hospital in Providence where he spent 2 weeks undergoing tests and examinations. During this time, doctors were unable to come up with any answers. They performed brain scans, MRIs and EGDs, but nothing revealed anything abnormal. John's family were baffled and desperate for answers. As days turned into weeks, John remained unable to speak English and had to rely on pen and paper to communicate. Throughout this time, he was able to communicate using mostly Spanish, although his vocabulary consisted mainly of short phrases rather than full sentences. As you can imagine, this situation was incredibly distressing for John and his family. Not only was he unable to communicate properly, but he also didn't know why it was happening or when it would end. Despite the efforts of medical professionals, the cause of his condition remained a mystery. Doctors ultimately concluded that there wasn't anything physically wrong with him, but John was still unable to speak English. This left his loved ones feeling helpless and desperate for answers. But then something incredible happened. After 2 whole weeks of being unable to speak English, John suddenly woke up one morning and found that he was fluent in French. How was this possible? No one had taught him French, and yet he was able to hold conversations on a variety of topics as if he had always known the language. As word of this strange phenomenon spread, more and more people came forward claiming to have witnessed similar experiences. It became clear that John wasn't alone in experiencing this bizarre phenomenon. One such person was a 43-year-old woman who woke up one morning speaking fluent Japanese. She had no idea how she had learned the language, as she had never studied it before. She had also never traveled to Japan or interacted with anyone who spoke Japanese regularly. In fact, the only exposure she had ever had to the language was watching a few episodes of a Japanese anime series on television. Yet when she woke up, she found herself able to read, write, and understand Japanese fluently. Another individual was a 27-year-old man who woke up speaking fluent German. He had no recollection of ever having studied the language and couldn't recall any significant exposure to it prior to his awakening. However, upon waking up, he found himself understanding German music and literature as if he had always known the language. These stories are just a small sampling of the many cases of foreign accent syndrome that have been reported over the years. Each case is unique and baffling, leaving experts struggling to find an explanation. While many have attributed these occurrences to paranormal activity or reincarnation, others believe that there may be a more rational explanation. So what is foreign accent syndrome? Foreign accent syndrome is a rare medical condition that causes an individual to wake up speaking a foreign language fluently. Although it sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, this phenomenon has actually been documented in several cases. In each case, the affected individuals woke up speaking a language they had no prior knowledge of and were able to communicate fluently without having studied the language beforehand. This raises questions about the nature of language acquisition and the capabilities of the human brain. While the exact cause of foreign accent syndrome remains unknown, some experts believe that it may be linked to neurological disorders or brain injuries. Others suggest that it could be the result of sleep paralysis or a form of dissociation. There have also been theories that it may be linked to past lives or reincarnation, with some believing that it could be the result of memories from a previous life resurfacing in the present. However, there is no scientific evidence to support any of these claims. Whatever the cause may be, those who have experienced foreign accent syndrome have been left in a state of confusion and wonder. Imagine waking up one morning only to find that you can no longer speak your native language. You may struggle to remember who you are and panic as you try to communicate with those around you. The experience can be both terrifying and disorienting. John's case was particularly perplexing as he was examined by some of the best doctors in the country and none of them could find a physical cause for his sudden linguistic ability. At the time, there were several theories put forth by medical professionals. Some believed that John was suffering from a rare neurological disorder known as foreign accent syndrome, which can cause individuals to wake up speaking in a foreign language. Others believed that John had somehow blocked out the previous evening and had been studying the language without realizing it. However, these theories were later disproven as John's condition did not improve and he remained unable to speak English. In light of this, many began to speculate that there was a more sinister cause behind John's condition. Some believed that he had been the victim of a secret government experiment while others suspected that he may have been under the influence of extraterrestrial forces. These theories, while intriguing, were never substantiated and ultimately led to more questions than answers. As the years passed, John's condition continued to baffle medical professionals and researchers alike. He became a subject of intense study with many hoping to unlock the secrets of his case. However, despite numerous tests and examinations, no one was ever able to fully comprehend the root of John's condition. In the end, John's case remains a mystery. Was it a neurological disorder or something more sinister? The truth is, we may never know for sure. What do you believe? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this one. Thanks for watching. See you next time.